Inshallah and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings, and welcome to Musing with Tonya D podcast. If you are new to my audio medicine room, I do a theme for each year. The theme for 2024 is community, networking, communication, storytelling, getting down to the nitty gritty in our bones. This comes from the Dagara cosmology, and of course, as a reflector in human design, I rein in other assets that I do reflect upon the environment around me. This year, we're going to embark on a captivating journey into the realms of ancient wisdom along with modern empowerment. I am your host, Tonya D. I am a practicing holistic shaman medium, an otherworldly life coach, and a subtle energetic surgeon, living my reflector design. I've come off the roof. I am thrilled to guide you through a tapestry of tales that intertwine the mystic threads of storytelling, energy, and empowerment through the lens of shamanism, indigenous technologies. And in each episode, we'll delve into the age-old art of storytelling, weaving narratives that transcend time and culture. From ancient myths to contemporary narratives, we'll explore the profound impact stories have on shaping our perceptions and empowering our lives. But this podcast is not merely a collection of tales. It's a conduit for energy, a source for inspiration, a beacon of empowerment. Drawing from the ancient practices of shamanism, we'll cover the transformative power of connecting with the unseen forces that surround us. Together, we'll unlock the secrets of energy, tapping into the vast reservoirs of vitality that lie within and around us. Join me as we embark on a quest for personal growth, spiritual enlightenment, and a deeper understanding of the world we inhabit. Get ready to be immersed in the enchanting world of storytelling, energy, and empowerment through shamanism. This is Musing with Tonya D podcast, where every episode is a step towards awakening the storyteller, harnessing the energy, and embracing the empowerment that lies within us all. Let the journey begin. This month's audio room artist is Candace Davies. She's a cosmic entrepreneur, founder of Your Social Funnel. She started her online journey, like many of us, during the lockdown of the 2020 experience. So you may be pondering why I brought a social wizard onto my show. Well, we are in a year in the Dagara cosmology of mineral. Mineral is community, connection, storytelling. It's the conversations that often are lingering to be heard. And if you are a solopreneur, an online business artist, you too well know that no one makes it alone. There are many parts and puzzle pieces to crafting any business, online or even that brick and mortar. In this audio medicine room conversation, we muse about restoring the disconnect in community. So with that, how are you doing today, Candace?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's dive in. How did you start doing funnels?
So, I actually kind of got into the online space when I was looking how I could take my brick and mortar business online, obviously 4 years ago when everybody was suddenly thrown into isolation and whatnot. And through that, just kind of like making my way through digital businesses and online businesses and learning as much as I could. And I got introduced to the world of funnels and all the stuff that goes with online businesses, and I really loved it. And so I actually began by just helping other business owners on the back end with all their tech. And the more I learned, obviously, the more I could offer some advice. And through that, things kind of just snowballed and I just started evolving. And, slowly but surely, people started approaching me, asking me like how I was doing all these things on social media and how did I know so much about this online space. I was just really just learning. And yeah, just kind of like momentum, I suppose, just gathered momentum.
I love it. So is this something that you're still doing now, or has it evolved into something new?
So, like interestingly, I think I started blending. what I was learning about back ends and systems and things like funnels and all these, traditional approaches to getting people into some kind of process to work with you. I just started kind of linking what I was learning about all of that with what I was learning about social media platforms, and I suppose actually in a much broader way, content creation. And so now I do help business owners with their funnels, but I feel like it's in a more integrated way because I was just like observing that people were kind of like looking at their businesses and compartmentalizing. It was like, I've got my website and I've got my email list and I've got my funnels and then I've got my content. And so many people that I was talking to, like, just couldn't connect the dots. Like, how can they make it all feel like a system, that everything was like talking to each other? So now when I work with business owners on their funnels, I just try to bring to the table kind of like a more integrated approach to it. Like, okay, that's great that we've got that, but how how does this link to what you're posting about? How are you using what you're posting about to try and bring people into that funnel? Is it linking? Does it all make sense? And yeah, I'm just trying to kind of integrate it a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself going through that. I'm kind of like a kid in the candy store. It's like, what do I want to taste today? And as a reflector, I know that's just part of my energy source. So I've worked with various people, and I find that they don't understand that reflectors aren't that we don't fit in the same box. We're kind of outward thinkers, and we just I literally, not even kidding, like last year, I think it might have been the year before. I was like, I literally am feeling like the Oracle in the Matrix. Like, I don't know what was happening, even planetary action kind of stuff. But I was going through my own like energetic sweep, if you will. And this year being a year of community and connection, for those of you listening, I traditionally don't talk about sales funnels on my show, but this is about connection and being community. And we all have a gift and a purpose. So that's why Candace is on our show today. FYI, by the way. So, so where do you find like most people are like off the wagon, I guess, when it comes to creating this solidarity to create their business or whatever it is they're manifesting.
I mean, when you and I first connected, um, I just felt like even though we totally are in different worlds, our way of thinking was aligned in terms of like I speak about the content connection, how things are connected and respecting that people, their approaches, their personalities are different. And the struggle that I was just noticing was because there was, I don't know if it's a lack or just like an inability to really see how things were connecting. The minute people kind of can connect dots and at least have like almost like a bigger picture. And it's so funny that you reference the Matrix. Like I often talk about the Matrix in like talks that I do with like, everything's connected. And if you've got the red pill and the blue pill and someone says, I'll get you the same result, which way do you want to go? Most people are just looking for someone to help them get what they want. So I'm definitely about connection and just trying to assist business owners, obviously, because I work predominantly with business owners, just trying to see a little more ease, to experience more ease in their businesses. And the ease comes with connection. I think it's quite challenging when you see things or you're approaching things in silos, in compartments, because we really get into it and you kind of you kind of get your shades on, and then it's difficult to see the bigger picture. So the connection is just in terms of understanding your business as like this living and breathing thing where all the things are connected. And that if you can just slowly start connecting those dots, you just experience a little more ease and a little more flow. Things feel a little simpler, in what can be quite a complicated space.
So, have you noticed over time that there's like certain aspects to an online business that are no longer really necessary for it to, I guess, bring it a little bit more together? Like, I know years ago when I first started, it was like, do the podcast, make sure the funnel's this, make sure you go live and do that. You know what I'm saying? So, if you
Yeah.
notice some things are kind of dissipating.
Yes, like I think the one thing that I try help people with is to say like there's so many things you can put on your own plate, you know, and everyone is, I don't know if fear mongering is the right word, but there's like a lot of panic. There's so much panic, like I'm not doing this and I'm not doing this and I should be doing this. And I just don't know if it's sustainable long term for creators to have so much to do. So in the past, where it used to be like, I need to make 10 different pieces of content. I need to have a podcast. I need to have a YouTube channel. I need to be on Facebook, on Instagram. I need to be writing to my list. You know, it's like, where the heck do you then get time to actually do the thing that you want to be doing, which is working with people? Now I'm a big fan of trying to create like one core piece of content. And then from that, you know, again, breaking it down, pulling it apart and seeing like, how can we take bits of the bigger piece and use that in purposeful and meaningful ways instead of you feeling like there are 10 million things that you've got to do every day. Um, and again, if you've got a system that is linking everything, then the more you get into it, the better you are able to plan those big core pieces of content so that it kind of covers your bases, you know?
Yeah, I find, yeah, it's interesting. And you just never know what's like the main little stream, I guess,
Yeah.
removing the roadblock, just like I told you earlier, a post I did that just went viral with no, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just wanted to share this content that resonated with myself. And then it just went otherworldly.
Yes. I suppose that's the other thing. It's like there's so much like almost like over analyzing like what should I be posting and how should I be posting it, and I find actually it's the posts that we create when we are in our passion and in our element and we just like really resonating with something and we just share that with our communities, that the community responds the best to. It's not the over-analyzed, highly structured pieces of content. It's often the ones that are just slapped together in 2 minutes and you didn't give any thought to it, really, you know?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But yeah, it was just funny because I do believe we're on a precipice of great change. So it just kind of went with it.
Yes.
So, what else do you feel in restoring the Dix connection? Do you feel like that kind of happened going online with people as far as community and connection being online kind of created some sort of a disconnect that was different?
Yeah, I suppose the other thing that like I like to talk quite a lot about is the fact that I'm not sure why there seems, again, this is just like an observation. I'm not saying it is the absolute truth for everybody, but again, I was just observing that so many people were coming to the space and had these perceptions that they were going to create these online businesses that were just going to take off and then they could remove themselves from the business and like these businesses would just run themselves, you know? And I say in my past life, but it's really just like about 5 years ago, I was actually a clinical therapist. I had a private practice for over a decade. And so I suppose I've always been interested in people and understanding people and talking to people. And so I was like struck at how strange it was that people could feel like they were going to be doing this work born out of service and passion and wanting to help people and could marry that with removing themselves from the business, which to me was quite strange. Like, so I talk a lot about having to be available to connect with your community. Like you know, now with AI and everybody wanting to automate things and bots and all this kind of stuff, I'm not really a fan of that approach. I think AI can help you with in incredible ways, but for me, it's really about it comes down to relationships and to the connection that you have with people. And even in a digital space, I think people can feel that. Like, I think people can actually get a sense of whether or not you truly invested in them or not. Um, so I think, we all went online 4 years ago. Everyone was literally at home, captive market, like a literally captive market, spending so much time online. And there was so much, connection, and people were spending so much time online. But I feel like over the last 4 years, people have become a bit disillusioned and disheartened. And so there seems to be like a withdrawal of energy from like your viewers, your audience, and at the same time, business owners wanting to remove themselves. So for me, the only way forward is, you got to be available, and you've got to be listening, and you've got to be there for people. You've got to show that you genuinely care. You've got to connect with your community. You've got to connect in your business. You've got to see the connection. So yeah, I mean, and some business owners really get it. Like, they want to connect. They want to have communities. They don't want to be absent.
So when you connect with your community, is it like a group call or do you work one on one or does it a combination?
Hmm. Last year, I was working primarily one on one, working really high touch with individual business owners. And the absolute blessing in working like that with people is you really develop a rich and deep understanding of not only what they're doing and what they're passionate about, but also, who they are as people. That saying, it takes a long time to grow an old friend. It's kind of like that. Like, I felt like I really got to know them on a personal level as well. And so that helped me deliver a better service to them, because the more I understood them, the more I understood their businesses, the better I could help create content, or, point them in some of the blind spots that, when we're passionate and we love something, we often don't see. And this year, I'm still doing some of that work, but I am working now in small groups. Again, small groups, like 4 or 5 at a time. So it allows for, again, that like nice relationship that you can develop with people, kind of like one on one, but slightly more than one on one.
Well, and also it creates a community within the community where they meet other people and can kind of tap into each other and kind of bounce off each other's ideas and whatnot, right?
Absolutely. It's like people start to be like mirrors for each other, So I just find it's incredibly helpful. And I think when you've got similar, there's like this understanding, and I think I've been quite blessed or lucky, or maybe I've also had a role to play in the kinds of people that I choose to work with and who I will invest time and energy with. There's like this overarching feeling like everybody really wants each other to succeed. There's like this almost like an underpinning feeling of, we're in this together. I want you to do well. So anything that is said in like this intention of, I'm telling you this because I want you to do well. I want you to do better. And it's amazing to see that when there is that foundational, just that genuine, and people believe it, they can take the feedback, like they're not defensive about it. They feel really grateful that someone's pointed that out to them. So it is amazing when you work with people that they become friends, they become like, we're all in together, we're in the same boat, and there's this little community now in just bringing people together.
No, I've noticed that for myself too. I'm more consistent. Like I go live every Friday in my private group, and then I do other live shows in my not so private groups. And I started just doing they're called comfort sessions to attract people that are in my same frequency vibration. And I've just been doing little mini cowrie shell divinations, like to get to know them and kind of show them what the shells are speaking to. And it's, I think, as a collective, like what's interesting for me doing the cowrie shell divinations is usually all the people that I see in the same day, um, they're all kind of going through the same situation, whatever that is, whether it's love, career, relationship, it doesn't really matter. Like everyone for the whole day has the same kind of issue happening for them. So I find that curious. But I was also thinking with these comfort sessions, I'm just throwing this at you as an idea. I was like, I should do it as a collective, have them all on the same call and do it that way. I think that would be so fun.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And like, I think when people come together, we don't always anticipate, and you can't always anticipate what gets created, you know? So even if you have a vision, like I thought to myself, I'm starting this small group project with 4 business owners, and I had a vision of how it was going to go. And it's just been so much better than I could have, I even anticipated, because there's something just about people coming together that something is created that you can't always visualize or picture, or it's really it's an amazing thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and just going with the flow, of how it's organically playing out.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what about yourself, your own personal connection? Because I find they're actually um, whether it's business, career, whatever. I mean, you have these two opposing forces where one's doing fantastic and then the other side kind of may be having a hiccup, right? So it's about balancing the whole. Have you found that as well?
Totally. So I have to like say, oh my gosh, like last year I was so guilty of there was no balance. It was like really working probably much more than I should have. And I suppose it's like a boundary thing as well. This year I was like, I can't recreate that. I can't have that experience again. And um put measures in place this year so that I could balance those aspects of my personal life and my business life a little better. I find even in the online space, it's I always say as an entrepreneur and being in, I suppose actually being in any business, brick and mortar as well. It's you've got good days, you have bad days. Some months you are on top of the world, the next month you feel like you don't know what you're doing with your life, and finding ways to manage those experiences so that it's not like those high highs and the low lows. Yeah, that was really important to me this year, just to create more balance with what's going on in my sphere.
Yeah, I noticed last year because I follow the celestial energies, mostly the moon in particular. But last year, I'm not even kidding you, the day Jupiter moved into my eighth house, the my brick and mortar that it shrunk way down during the experience, and just I just lost too many one-on-one clients, personal, right? Anyway, my landlord had doubled the rent, so I needed to relocate, which put me in a tailspin, right? But I'm always like, the universe always moves us where we're meant to be, just trusting the universe. So the place I'm at now, I'm only there a few days a week, and the landlord, the lady that owns it, she's actually not renewing her lease. So it's interesting. A year later, I'm kind of in the same tailspin, different though. So it's almost like I was in the in between time. So literally it's like, the online thing, just like you said, people assume it's just going to take off. You're going to be able to make a living, whatever. But I really feel like the time for me, as far as my online business and what I've created, is actually now. It's like the universe kind of gave me the in between time, moving me. And it's like, okay, this either is going now or I'm going away kind of an energy. It's really interesting. But I mean, just have faith on the crossroads and the pathways that are happening for us.
Totally. Totally. I remember when I used to be in when I had my private practice and I would see patients. And I would often say, it's like, I wish I could surf. I don't live near the sea, but I'm like, I always watch surfers when I'm on vacation or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I could do that, because when they catch that wave and they are riding it, it just must be the most exhilarating feeling, right? And I would say to my patients, when that surfer is up on that surfboard, he knows the wave can't last forever, but it doesn't take away from the glory of the moment, you know? So when things are good, just ride the wave, knowing life is never just a wave, right? So we're going to have things that come up for us, but there's always another wave. And so the good times come, the not so good times come, but you have to have faith. You're going to catch another wave and just enjoy it for what it is, you know? I think that is such a skill, like you were saying, when you can be in a challenging time, but have cautious optimism that actually things are going to be okay. And there must be a reason. Like in the end, it's all going to work out, you know?
Yeah, I often feel that way. And especially now, again, in the Dagara cosmology, we are in a year of connection and community. But also, there's the opposing side to that. There's people, you're going to, like you just said, our tribe, our village, our friendships, connections, etc. They're all changing and transforming too. So it's like we're pulling away from some as we move and gather different. You know what I mean? That we're elevating to a different sphere, not that you're better or whatever, that kind of gets in the way, but really attracting people that are at your same energy, frequency, vibration. And we can't really pull everyone with us sometimes. So it's kind of navigating that as well. And it's
Yeah.
okay, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else that your heart wants to share with my listeners? This has been great, by the way. I think a lot of people, we get consumed with what things should be in reality, and it really is the connection you make with people. That's how we change lives.
Totally. I think it's firstly been a real honor to be invited onto a show where I maybe not be your typical guest. So thank you. Thank you for being open and just answering the call when I was like, hey, who wants to connect? And you were like, I'm happy to connect. So thank you, Tonya. It's really been an honor to be here. But I do think you're spot on. I love learning from people that are not in the same field as me. I'm always looking to expand my knowledge base, my friendship base, my connections to hear what people are observing, how they navigating through life, who they connect with. And I do think, again, I keep thinking about obviously the people I work with. I think if you ever lose sight of the fact that your business is made up of people, you're really going to struggle because people thrive off feeling seen, feeling understood, feeling cared about. And at the heart of it, if you really want to help people, you've got to want to connect with them. It's very difficult to, I don't know, to run anything successfully, I think, if you just don't really want to connect with people. So it's been a great opportunity to be here and connect with you and your listeners. And thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I think it takes a village, right? Everyone has a gift and a purpose, and the connection, whether we're in the same intimate industry or not, that we're still human beings navigating through life with our what we came here to do. So you can't have one without the other. And just like you said, you have to have community to create a business or friendships, a family, all the things. You have to have the conversations and
Mm.
connection. It's just part of life. And when you don't have that, nobody makes it alone.
Exactly. And not even just in terms of like, I'm speaking about business owners having successful businesses, but I suppose what you've just said has made me think as well that in those times when you're struggling and things aren't happening the way you thought they were going to happen or you want them to happen, if you don't have a community of people that you can reach out to and say, wow, I'm like having a really bad week, or just, I'm in such a terrible headspace. Can we talk it out? Or have you ever felt this way? Or, that it's really lonely to navigate. And when you feel like you're alone and no one understands, I find personally, maybe just speak for myself, it's hard to pull yourself out of that by yourself. So even as, business owners having people they connect to as friends and mentors or groups where they can belong is also so important for your like resilience, your, networking, just the just connecting with other business owners, just knowing other people and connecting, asking, how are you doing? What's happening in your business? Tell me how it's going, does far more than, trying to pitch to someone that doesn't know who you are. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all about the connection.
Absolutely. And you're actually in a fantastic field for that, even for your own cosmology. I do believe that. Absolutely. Candace and I continued our journey after the recording, and I elaborated that I was going to keep it real and add it to this episode. So, as we continue further, enjoy the rest of the show. And of course, I'll tune in at the end. So fun. I love that. And I feel like, um, yeah, there was some crazy disconnect. I mean, I think that's why really that post went kind of viral is because human beings are in a disconnect,
Yeah,
right? It's too much time like trying to be something they're not for somebody outside of them, not for themselves.
100%. I don't know if you've heard this, Tonya. Maybe you've heard people saying this, but I've heard so many people in my sphere of like knowing other business owners who are just saying like this year has got like a weird energy. Like, I don't know, like feels a bit everyone had like such high hopes for this year and they came in feeling quite like amped up. And like, I've spoken to so many people who have literally used the words like, I don't know what is up with 2024's energy, but something's going on. Have you heard anything?
Yeah, so that's why the post went viral, to be honest. It's about the quantum entanglements. Whatever is happening in this dimension is also happening in another. And when those two frequency energy vibrations are noticed, they collapse. They sink into each other. It is like the matrix, right? And people cannot wrap their mind around that, but their spirit knows. Our spirit knows, right? That's why I always say, like, I have been my whole life, it's almost like we get the subtle messages, right? The energies are tapping us, nudging, and we don't listen. And then what happens energetically when we don't listen to it subtly, that's when the big thing, and that could be a car accident, it could be a disease, it could be a plethora of things. But we weren't listening to the subtle messages from spirit, basically. That's how I see that. And we all have a higher self outside of ourselves, navigating, even like our spirit guides and all those kinds of things as well. But people, my opinion, I feel like COVID really happened for people to reconnect to a spirit, not religion, but just spirit, whatever that is, the great spirit creator, oneness, whatever you want to call it. And still, humanity didn't like have faith in spirit. They trusted man. Like, who are you gonna who are you gonna put your faith in? The rules of man, especially divine feminine. I think women, like I have male issues, I'll say. I don't like how men treat women. My dad lives with me. That's why I have to go help, right? And they have this idea, it's inborn and it's in their atoms. Like I know, like, but I also know it's not my story. Like I don't want to, that's not my space. But he still has the thing that he's the dude, he's here. So roll out the red carpet. I've arrived, you know, it's like, stop. And he's created his own problems. And I know I'm going to be like the solution cleanupper. Makes
Mm,
sense? So it's
mm,
pretty like this older generation is really having a hard time. But I also understand for most of them, energetically, Pluto is the great transformer, right? As far as the planet goes. Pluto like gets rid of everything that's no longer serving us and moving us into something else. And Pluto just moved into Aquarius, which is actually opposing my dad's generation with Leo, Pluto and Leo. So it's going back to like really, what do you love authentically? And
Mm.
that's why his generation's having a hard time. So myself knowing that, I'm pretty compassionate most of the time to him, but I do find myself getting just bitchy and angry, like because he's not consciously aware. He thinks everything I do is like, you know, but I work energetically, and he doesn't. Find his generation, not all, because I do have clients that are like 87 or are more aware of, than my dad at 80. So they're all their souls, right? And we're all, listen to me, we're all little particles and waves and atoms in time, space, dimension. And when one atom likes another atom, boom, right? We raise the frequency, energy, vibration. So it's hard to be around people that are still stuck because they're going to dim our light if we allow it. But also they might be the messenger to see something different. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin. You just have to sit with it and be aware and ask for another sign from the universe, whatever again you want to call it. But getting into the flow, the movement of life, I find that's really, I feel like what's really happened for people. 2024 is Pluto moved into Aquarius from Capricorn, and Capricorn's all about the structure and the restrictions. And Capricorn, that's why the banks collapse, the governments are collapsing. Pluto breaks down what's broken so we can rebuild it. And the infrastructure is a mess. We know that the whole world and human
Mm.
beings, us, the ones that really are the caretakers of the world, not the political parties, right? We're like, we're awake going, no, we're not taking this anymore. We're like done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, and
No, that's a lot.
I see that a lot. And the people who reach out to me are people that are like, literally, they feel like they're crazy. And I'm
Mm.
like, no, you're aware. There's not like,
Yeah.
I just had, I kid you not, this cutest little girl. I do my divinations at a witchy store here a couple days a week. And this grandma, and actually, this cute, she was 11 and she was very spiritually gifted. And she was so sweet. And I was like, I wish I had somebody like me
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
7 years old, and she would just, it was adorable. And I told her, you come back anytime, I'll help you.
Oh
Like,
man.
discern between like who's coming in spirit wise, and just to know that her guides are always with her, and just call them in. And I said, I don't want you to ever be afraid. Like, because little kids don't understand if it's good or bad spirits. So I gave
Mm.
her, of course, rituals for protection, and to always trust. Her grandma had crossed over, and in the Dagara, our ancestors, especially grandparents, are always like, because when we're coming into the world, they're kind of going out of the world.
Mm.
So, anyway, so her grandma had crossed over, and I was like, oh no, you're just going to connect with her differently. So
Oh,
super cute. But yeah, I see a lot of that in these young kids. They need oracles to really help them,
yeah.
and because we've been programmed. I don't know about you, but my whole life has been a program. But I've always kind of pushed on it, because if it didn't make sense, I would question it.
Hmm.
Even when
Yeah.
I was 8 or 9, and in Utah, it's the big Mormon thing here, and my mom took me to see the bishop, and I looked him right in the face and said, "That's not true." Like, I basically called him out, and my mom was horrified, and I just
Yeah.
I just stood my ground and said, "That's not true." And I knew it wasn't true because I don't know if I told you, but I had a near death experience when I was 7. I was in a coma. I was in the other world so that connection is like always there. But my
Wow.
7-year old self, or whatever, telling this adult Mel, and
Yeah.
being a
No.
woman, you know, you're supposed to obey these dudes. It's like, no, that's not. And I just called him out. And my mom, she never made me go back again. I
Yeah.
think she
I
was
was
A,
thinking it
horrified,
might have gone down well.
and B, she knew I was right. I'm like, that's not true. Like, that's, I just get tired of the oppression and the suppression. And it's like,
Mm.
no, everyone on this planet comes here with a gift and a purpose. And you can't have one without the other. That's what a village is. That's what a community really is. And even my house here, they built this high rise crap right in my backyard. It used to be this secluded 6-acre farm with nature, and They're trying to turn Salt Lake City into like Manhattan. Like that's a great thing. New York, right? It's just tragic. And instead of coming to me and saying, hey, let's make this nice, they butted up this ugly fence next to my fence, which they damaged, removing like this whole wall of trees used to have. Now I got to stare at these ugly complexes, but they don't understand. So people, this is really what makes me crazy. Human beings don't understand that what the cause and effect and the ripples, right? The waves they send out. And if you don't
Mm,
fix the wave you did here, it affects your entire lineage until they fix the wave.
mm,
But
mm.
so it's pretty frustrating. And then they wonder why something's happening for them. It's like you did something, and if you didn't, your ancestor did. Somebody in your lineage created the hiccup, and now you got to heal it. And
Yeah.
you took the baton on. I mean, I know that for myself with my family lineage and literally mapping it all out. I'm like, what? The front door. It's really it's like seriously some days I'm just like, oh my God, what the
Yeah.
hell? But I
Yeah.
mean it's just anyway, I could talk about this all day long because it's just interesting to me, the whole like I really I wish people could take a moment. I call it the sound of silence, like be in the reverie, right? And really see, it kind of reminds me even of like Doctor Strange moving the little gem,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's like you move that one thing and
Yeah.
it totally transforms the all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think we need to start moving some things and create a chain reaction that's different
I
than
was thinking, I need to get me some Pluto.
so yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is energy, frequency, vibration. So we are innovating, like literally. I think I've said this for years. I do believe energy is the medicine of our future. I think it's always been, but you know, these higher ups, the illusion, they're not going to make that money off of healthy environment. And now, because of what they've done, this is the opposing side, they're killing off the very people that they've enslaved to their system. So how are they going to have their system when there's no workers? You know?
Yeah.
I see this happening. It's a travesty. It's just screwed up, but I do believe people are awake to it. I don't feel like they're so sincere because they're still afraid of money. We undervalue ourselves and we allow government and corporations, whatever, to place our value on us, which we're priceless. Like we're made in the eye of creator. We're all little atoms and we all have a value that's unique and individual. So it's like bring that value out, shine your light. Don't let the
Mm.
corporations and government dim us, dictate qualities that aren't, and we know, our spirit knows anyway. Tangent Tanya today.
Oh, well, that was uplifting. You've actually made me feel quite hopeful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think we're in it and we just got to keep stirring the soup and pulling out what's not in alignment. And, it's just
Yeah.
navigating the field and holding space and being authentic, true to our own selves,
Yeah.
and people, I witness it all the time. They give up an aspect of themselves to be in relationships, to be in a community, and it's not in their alignment. And then the
Yeah.
hiccups happen, right? Like some of my readings are relationship readings, and it's like, honey, do you love yourself? Because if you loved yourself, you would not be allowing that person in your life. It's like I have to sometimes be hardcore. Like, is he cheating? Do you feel like he's cheating? Because if you think he's cheating, he's probably cheating. And don't you deserve better? You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, and when we allow people, we attract a cheater, it's because we're cheating on ourselves. Like
Yeah.
there's a memo there and it's hard. I get it. I've done it myself. So it's not like I'm, outsourced, but I've been aware of it, like tangent again, but um I always all my relationships, this is kind of funny. Like I always knew when they were going to end. I felt like I was in their life for the purpose of them to get on their pathway. And soon as they got there, pop, it was done. Isn't that, I mean, I've always felt that even like getting fired, it's like the universe moved me because I did my job and now I'm off to another adventure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, now what's next? What's the next thing?
I
But
think that's the amazing thing because not a lot of people can see the world like that. They can't see it like, okay, that experience is over, what's next? It's like, oh my God, why did this happen to me? And what did I do to deserve this? And so I do think when you can either it's just part of who you are and how you've lived, or if you have to develop that skill in yourself, it can really be a life-changing skill. Like when you start to learn how to see things just as experiences. And I suppose this is like what a lot of the non-attachment is. And it's just fleeting moments, just experiences that we don't get attached. Just, go on to the next thing. But it's hard for most people, I think.
well, I find it goes back to the deconditioning. We have
Mm.
to decondition or peel the onion or whatever term you want to
Yeah.
use, and
Yeah.
really getting back to our own source connectivity. And especially women, I'll go back to it because my grandma is 98 years old, still alive. And my mom's in the heavenly universe. So, I look, I look at all her experiences, right? 90, she's been on this plane experiencing things that were at her time unimaginable, right? And she still is like going strong. Her sister's 100. I mean, they've seen so much, and I think, God, that longevity, do I want to be here that long?
I was gonna say, Tonya, you've got really good genes. I don't know if I want them.
And that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, oh man, I'm hoping I'm like my mother and I cross over quickly and not that long. But yeah,
Well,
but
well,
she
yeah.
has her wits about her. So it's actually fantastic. It's just really cool. But yeah, I think we're on great change. I think innovation and like people need to really trust, like really trust and love the innovation that's coming to them because Pluto is all about protection and boundaries. And if the spirit world sends you these little messages, the subtle field, it's really tuning in and tapping into that because the spirit world isn't, they're really there to assist us through what's happening. And even, the crap and that's going on, the wars, it's like we haven't evolved out of that. And humanity as a whole is over it. Like these governments and like, so it goes back to like how much money really is enough. Like how much is enough? It's just there's a breaking happening there. And I find you're going to have more people doing trading skills versus actual dollars. So it's going to be like value for value, different, where we kind of get back to the origins of like our rootedness and our spirit. Because a lot of I just see that there's a lot of, I don't want to call them vultures, but like worms, I guess, parasites that are kind of infecting people. And, they might think that's the cream of the crop, having XYZ dollars, but in the end, it's not going to matter. It's a
Yeah.
really interesting, but I feel like we're getting back to that where people are navigating and we're not going to allow forces outside of us, forces of adversity, to dictate what a great life is. Like,
Mm.
like I see
I
people and I'm
was
like,
going
I
to
don't,
say that.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, I was going to say amen to that. Yeah.
It's like, wow. And, integrity, like if what you're doing doesn't aligned in integrity. And we need people. Like I even like there's certain careers, I guess, where people downgrade it and it's like you're this kind of a deal. It's like where would we be without that kind of person doing that job? Like, how
Yeah.
about some gratitude? Like, they're doing the thing that nobody else wants to do. Like, and it doesn't really matter, emergency room people. And if you're not loving what you're doing, then move on. Go do something that lights up your heart. But there's so much fascination in different careers out there, like by all like you think about all the things and it's like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much. So
Exactly.
I like to focus on the good and the gooder, like of different people and their gifts. And my favorite of all things is when I literally I can see people living their purpose and their gift. They light up so different. They're so juicy, right? So it's just so fun. Like you said, the wave. It's like, yeah, you're on the wave. You're doing fantastic and cheering them
Exactly.
on, not dimming their goodness. Well, you have been a sincere joy. This has been fantastic. And I want to send gratitude and blessings your way, Ashe. I will have all her links in the show notes. Please navigate to her page if you need some assistance in any kind of connection. That's kind of her joy. And as always, I'll see you on the other side. Ashe, blessings.